Hello, I'm Andrea Blaylock. I'm a student at Fort Valley State University, and I'm majoring in organizational leadership with a concentration in public service. I have 22 years of state of Florida law enforcement and corrections experience, and currently I'm working as a coordinator of basic recruit training at Tallahassee Community College at the Law Enforcement Academy. So essentially, I'm training young men and women to become future law enforcement officers. The case that we're going to talk about, or I'm going to discuss, is case 6.2, blowing the whistle in Iraq. And it's discussed in our text in chapter 6, integrity, secrecy, and trust. Now, if you have been watching the news within the past 2 weeks, you will see that every other story is about whistleblowing and the President of the United States and his administration. And it is a hot topic for the past 8-9 days in this country. And it's got people discussing, can we trust whistleblowers? Are whistleblowers valid? If it happened the way you say it happened, why can't you attach your name to it? It has the country talking, and it also has us asking questions about the validation or the legitimacy of whistleblowing. And so with that being said, we're going to go and take a look at whistleblowing and as it's discussed in our text. Now, this case is about a young man by the name of Joe Darby. If you don't remember that name, you probably remember the impact that he had on reporting unethical behavior in our United States military. Joe Darby, as I said, you may not remember his name, but you may remember the impact of what he did. Darby turned in pictures of prisoners being abused at Abu Ghraib in Iraq. And now these pictures that he discovered them purely on accident because he wanted to go out and take some pictures of some scenes of the sandbox to send back home to his wife and his family to share what he was doing while he was over in Iraq. And he bumped into the self-proclaimed unit photographer, asked him could he borrow the camera, and his name was Charles Garner. And Charles Garner gave Darby the camera and these CDs. And when he gave him the CDs, Darby didn't know what was on them. And he went and looked and found the prisoners, pictures of the prisoners being abused. Now, whether Garner knew what was on there or not, let's say he did, because of the bond of the military, which is quite similar to law enforcement, because of that bond, he felt that he could trust Darby with whatever was on those discs. And so when Darby found those pictures and discovered them, he reported them to his superior. Now, I can say that the things that happened after he turned those in changed Darby's life from the way he knew it at that point, even up until this day. On those discs, as I said earlier, was evidence of prisoners being abused, and that abuse was committed by several members of the unit that Darby was training in or working in. And in that unit, these people were what we call Army reservists or citizen soldiers, and they normally work 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year. But during this time, which was back in 2004, we were pretty active over in the Middle East, and his unit got called up to be deployed to Iraq and to help our country fight the war on terrorism. And with that being said, we had some detainees in these military prisons who were responsible for some terrorist attack, terroristic talk, what have you. But they were being detained in our facilities. And Darby and Grainer and the other men and women who were assigned to that unit had the responsibility of taking care of them. They were in charge of the care, custody, and control of these inmates. Darby turned the photos over to his supervisors, and when he turned them over anonymously. He just, hey, this was left in my office, and I wanted to give it to